and we're cooking. All right, hello everybody. The Yankees lost again. The Yankees have now lost 9 games in a row. It's the first 9-game losing streak of my lifetime and of Dylan's lifetime, because the first one since 1982. Now this is following their first 8-game losing streak of both of our. Was it of both of our lifetimes as well for that? Because I think that was 1993.
It was like 1995 for the other one, so
Yeah.
pretty much.
So congratulations. We've lived through things we haven't lived through before. Because of that pattern, we're assuming a Knicks Eastern Conference Finals appearance is the next logical conclusion, right? Like things that have never happened in our lifetimes. Finishing below 500 and last place, things that never happened in our lifetimes. So certainly here to say that, at least they called up the prospects. At least I can't tweet out tonight, oh, well, some sarcastic remark about how they don't have the kids getting experience. They're going to keep playing Pereira. They're going to keep playing Peraza. It is what it is. They're not going to play very well. The Yankees are trying to play their young guys, so it's not going to look pretty. It's part of this is part of playing your prospects, and part of playing your prospects is unfortunately struggling. So we'll see where this goes. Dylan, I want to let you take it away though. So yeah.
Yeah, so, as you alluded to, Everson Pereira made his major league debut. Of course, I'm not going to sit here and act like I expected a whole lot. He went 0 for 3. He did have a good at bat, though, where he walked early in the game, his first at bat, and he did come up with a chance to win the game in the ninth inning. He hit a sharp fly out. Unfortunately, he didn't get his first major league hit yet. Hopefully, that comes tomorrow. Oswald Peraza came back up, didn't do a whole lot. Went 0 for 4, actually. Let's talk about how Ben Workvet didn't get any help tonight. He literally had both of our hits, and one of them was a home run. He went 2 for 2, and he had a walk as well. So shout out Ben Workvet, I guess. He was literally the only one on offense who decided to show up tonight. Aaron Judge had a rare off night. He went 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Yikes. But, as you said, at this point, it's not like these games matter a whole lot because at the end of the day, yes, we're technically not out of it, but for all intents and purposes, it's going to be a long shot to make any serious noise at this point. They called up the kids for a reason. They want to see what they have out of these guys the rest of the way. So that's pretty much how the rest of the season is going to play out. What we can talk about, though, is Carlos Rodon. He made his return from the IL today and actually turned in a solid outing. He only had 1 strikeout, only generated 3 whiffs from what I heard earlier, but he went 6 strong innings, gave up just 1 run, and it was a home run, which, of course, I'm not happy he gave up a home run, but considering that was all he gave up, basically, you take it because Rodon has struggled all season, clearly hasn't been healthy, so it's nice to see him turn in a solid outing. Tommy Kahnle unfortunately gave up that go-ahead home run to C.J. Abrams, and once he gave up that home run, it was kind of just like, yeah, you kind of knew that it was going to be tough for them to come back and win this game. So at this point, 9 losses in a row really sucks, and it's unfortunate that this losing streak pretty much has put them out of the running for the playoffs the rest of the way, but unfortunately, that's just how it is. And, at the end of the day, at least we got to see some new faces today, and we're going to see some new faces the rest of the way. Hopefully, very soon, Austin Wells is also up here. And hopefully, maybe even next season at the start of the year, Jason Dominguez comes up to the big league roster because Jason Dominguez is also now in AAA. So, there are some things to look forward to. Unfortunately, in the big picture is this team is probably not going to make the postseason. There is a high likelihood this team also finishes under 500 for the first time in me and Ryan's lifetime. So those are some unfortunate things, but at the end of the day, we can only look at some positives here and there because we've had a lot of negative stuff to say. Unfortunately, as me and Ryan have done these live streams over the past few months, it's been unfortunate. It's been an emotional roller coaster. We've had some highs. There's been some lows. It's safe to say this is the big low. Unfortunately, at this point, I just want them to win a ball game. And if they can win tomorrow, that would make my mood a little bit better. I just want to see them win a game again because it feels like I haven't seen this team win in like 20 years, even though really it's just been 9 games. But still, I just want to see a win. But we didn't tonight. But, we saw some new faces, so at least there's something to look forward to a degree, of course. But, with that being said, I'm just kind of just pass it off to you. Let you kind of let out your thoughts on what tonight's game was all about. Obviously, there wasn't a lot to talk about with tonight's game, but, have at it. What do you got to say, man?
Sorry, I turn on my AC unit just to keep my room cooler whenever my mic isn't on, and I don't want it to play while I'm talking. But this is a disappointing, this is just disappointing season. I mean, we've hammered that point home. There really isn't. I mean, the conversation is all right. The Yankees have played poorly, And that's been true for months now. So it's like, well, what's the takeaway? Everson Pereira and Oswald Peraza here. And then you got to kind of have to wait that one out. You kind of have to wait, and you're not going to draw any conclusions, especially on Pereira. You're not going to draw any conclusions on who he is as a player right now. Even if he plays very well, even if he plays very poorly, you can't conclude his career on, it's going to be like 34, 35 games left in the year. I think it's 38. I think it was 38 entering tonight. So it's 37 after tonight. But this is kind of the situation you're in, right? This is a unique situation for Yankee fans. We've never really been in a situation where we're this far out of it. Usually we're at least in it. In this case, we're not. Like even in 2016, we were in it. Now, I will say this. In 2016, we were in it, and that core never won a title. So early success, the success they have over the next month is not as important as the success they're going to have, or they're looking to have, or aiming to have in 2024 and in 2025 and in 2026. In positive news, Jason Dominguez tonight went 3 for 6 in his AAA debut. I believe he had a double, a single, another single. So I think he had 3 in total. He had a ball hit at a 109.4 miles per hour. First game in AAA. He's hitting like 360 since the All-Star break, slugging like crazy. To me, you're looking at the farm, and that's where your faith is. You're like, you know what? We have these prospects, and that's what we've got right now going for us. And if that's all we can say, that's all we can say. And that's really all I've got right now. So I think it's a good time for us to turn to the comment section. I think this is going to be a comment section driven live stream. So MJ Edit says, hey, boys. Hey, how you doing? Trevor says, hey, fellas, I'm depressed. I am too. Ryan Jack says, yo, what's up, Ryan? That's my guy. Huskies with a 5 says, hot take. The Yankees suck. That is a very, very mild take.
It's a little spicy if you ask me. It's a spicy take. You know
I've tasted salt with more heat. I'm joking. I'm just messing around. My mom was 14 years old the last time the Yankees had a 9-game losing streak. My dad wasn't in the country the last time the Yankees had a 9-game losing streak. I don't think my dad. No, he definitely wasn't in the country by then. So, yeah. It's Tommy Kenley cooked. Actually, it was the bullpen cooked. They've been asked to do so much this year that at this point, it's like, I'm surprised it took this long.
I was just about to say that too.
I'm shocked it took this long for the bullpen to fall apart. They were asked to do everything when the pitching.
Considering too, they were asked to do all that, and it's not even like the bullpen's been fully healthy too. They've missed several pieces, and they have been all year.
They've
asked to do so much.
They asked Albert Abreu twice to break his pitch count limit in blowout games. You know, he's not a good reliever. I get that, but it's still a thing that they had to do. That's not a thing you do if your bullpen's healthy and if your starting pitching is going deep into games reliably. I'm sick of having good at-bats and no effing results. Yeah, the Yankees, they stung a couple today. You think of that one up the middle from Pereira at the end of the game there because you see the ball leave the bat and you're like, oh, can this one split the gap? Because if it does, you have Harrison Bader, and
he was taken off on the pitch too, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. So if that ball fell in the gap, if that ball is about a foot to the left or 2 feet to the left of the center fielder, that game is tied potentially, right? Like that game might be tied and Everson Pereira might have his first MLB hit. I mean, it's tough. It really is tough. Like it's tough. It's a tough situation to be in. It was a tough game to watch. But you hope for better days. That's all. 40-man roster at 39. Austin Wells has to come up soon. I think it's all but confirmed he's a September guy, right? Like I feel like there's too much. It feels like the Pereira thing. Do you remember when that Andy Martino report came out and it was like, oh, they want to call it Pereira this year. It's like, okay, they clearly there's too much smoke here. It would take an injury or terrible play for Austin Wells to not come up, I think.
Yeah, at this point, I agree. It's not a matter of if at this point. It's a matter of when exactly will Wells come up, and it's going to be at some point this year. I would be completely shocked if he's not up here at all this year. You know what I mean? The catching depth has been terrible since Trevino got hurt. Really, it's not been good all year, but once Trevino went down, you started to rely on Ben Rortvedt, who today had 2 hits, but entering the game was hitting 0.95. So, you know, when you're relying on that and you got Austin Wells that's very close to the big leagues, you know, it's a matter of when, not if. He's going to be up here very, very soon. Do I expect him to be up here tomorrow? Nah, probably not. But if that was the case, they would have just called him up today. But I think what you said, September seems pretty likely at this point. Once the rosters expand, you know, fully and the September call-ups hit, Wells is going to be a part of that. I would be shocked if he's not. So that's pretty much where it's at.
Yeah, no, I mean, I also think that, so I was listening to this podcast, Rates and Barrels, Saris and Derek Van Riper do this podcast, and they're brilliant minds. They're at The Athletic. Some people in this chat know 'em. I think Trevor Alley specifically, and Ryan Jack as well. They'll know I'm an Saris super fan, and I think he's one of the smartest minds in baseball, and I love listening to his stuff. They're talking about how, for certain guys, or certain organizations are realizing that a lot of guys are skipping through the minors a lot quicker. And teams are looking more towards swing decisions, bat speed, defense behind the plate. If that's gotten better, which it seems like it has for Austin Wells, they want them to hit certain data points. They don't really care as much about the results. And I think that's interesting because if you look at Jason Dominguez, he was tearing it up in the second half, but his overall double A numbers aren't overly impressive. It's a 117 WRC plus, which for his age is pretty good, but is it screaming a AAA call up? Not necessarily, right? I think the thing that they really liked was that he was hitting their data points, and a lot of their data points have to do with swing decisions, bat speed, exit velocity, and I think that's why they moved Pereira up as quickly as he did. There was a study done that bat speed, so like these raw tools, you think like these freaks of nature, Everson Pereira, Jason Dominguez, they absolutely hammered the baseball. Bat speed actually, the only situations in which bat speed detracts from your game or isn't as effective is against higher stuff pitching. And there's not a lot of really, like, let's be real here. The quality of pitches you'll see in high A is just not remotely comparable to the major leagues, right? Like, I think that's a consensus opinion. By having Jason Dominguez or Austin Wells, these guys have pretty good bat speed and good power. By having them face guys with better stuff, what ends up happening is they develop a little bit better because they're seeing these pitches. It allows them to identify things to work on more. To summarize this point, what I'm saying in a really fancy way is that it might just be better. There might be enough data out there to support the theory that it's better to develop at the major league level than the minor league level. So, I think that's going to be an interesting thing that I think the Yankees are trying to get ahead of. And if they are, that's great because that would be the first time I feel like the organization's really taking command here. So outside of Austin Wells, like I think there are other guys who get called up. I don't know if you've seen Drew Thorpe's stats, and I've tried my hardest to make sure everyone has seen Drew Thorpe's stats. Drew Thorpe is a ridiculous pitcher. Like Drew Thorpe's remarkable.
He's been good. He's been good.
I mean, he's averaging 6 2/3 innings pitched to start, 1.91 ERA, 30% strikeout to walk rate in his last 12 starts. He's been unbelievable. And I think that the Yankees trusting guys like this to get the job done instead of saying, all right, Luis Severino, can you please pitch today, is going to do a lot better for them today or tomorrow and going forward. So that's really it. I don't know if you have any reactions or anything you'd like to add on in that regard.
I mean, kind of just to add on to your point before about, bringing up the guys sooner and stuff. I feel like maybe this team is heading in that direction. I feel like one of the first signs about that was when they, basically had Volpe skip AAA altogether and had him on the opening day roster based off of a good spring training performance. And I mean, for what it's worth, it's not like Volpe has had a bad rookie season. Yes, the average is low, but 17 home runs and 20 stolen bases and 50 RBIs for a rookie, I'll take it. If anything, and if anything, his numbers since like June or July, wherever you want to place it, have been showing what potential he can have. Of course, we're far from seeing the maximum potential of Volpe, of course, but I think we're able to kind of see like where he can be as a player. You know what I mean? Obviously, he's not a finished product yet, but I think there is some sort of like sign that good things are happening with him. I feel like what I mentioned before, the Yankees having him basically skip AAA and come straight to the major leagues off of that spring training is kind of the sign of like maybe they're trying to get these guys up quicker. Having Jason Dominguez is already in AAA. If I remember correctly, did he start the year in AA or where did he start?
He started in AA. He went to AA last year really late, and
okay, so he started the year in AA. So yes, he's in AAA now, but like it's not like they had him do basically a full season in AA. Had him do most of the year in AA, but they're giving him a good more time here in AAA, and it seems like at this point, if he shines in spring training, who knows? Maybe he makes the roster outright, like Volpe just did this year. Who knows? I'm not saying that's a guarantee, but it could happen. I could honestly see it with the way that not only how desperate they need for, improvements in the offense and in the outfield, but also just for the fact that, some of these guys are quickly becoming, major league ready faster. And like what you alluded to too, these teams are looking at certain other aspects rather than just looking at the overall stat sheet and going, oh, he's hitting 260, we're not calling him up, or oh, he's hitting 400, we're calling him up. You know what I mean? So with that being said, I mean, it'll be interesting to watch for sure. But that's pretty much all I had to say about that. Pretty short point, but that's pretty much where I'm at on that. So
Yeah, no, I mean, end of the day, I just want to see as many interesting situations as possible because they're not going to be making the playoffs, and
it's
that's
not like this season's been interesting anyway. So let's
yeah.
just
It's like, hey, I,
let's see something. Like I even said at the deadline, even if they flat out sold like almost everything, I would have been perfectly okay with that because at least it would have been a different look. At least we would have
yeah,
seen something different. See what solutions we have for the long term. Because the season felt lost then. Even and that they were still, I think like I don't know 5, 6, 7 games above 500. They were not this far down at the deadline. And then, sure enough, now we're completely out of it, basically. Like, mathematically, we are not out of it, but it would literally take a miracle. Like, they would have to go, like, how many games we got left? 37. So they'd have to go, like, 31-6 the rest of the way to make something happen. We all know this team is not doing that. With all due respect, we all know they're not doing that. They've lost 9 in a row. At this point, I just want to see them win one game just to make me happy again, just so I don't have to pull up the standings on the app and see next to them L9 or
dude,
L
I don't
whatever
think
number
they've
for the
won a
streak.
game since your birthday. I
Dude,
don't
it
think
feels like it. It
they
feels
haven't. I
like
don't
it,
think
bro.
they have.
It
Have they?
feels they have, but it doesn't feel like they've
Did
won
they?
many.
Which one?
My birthday was July 9th, so they've won games, but they haven't won many, and they haven't won since I went to. I
Oh
can
no,
say
not
this
your
too.
birthday. Miami. When you went to
Since
Miami,
Miami.
that's
That I was about to say that since I went to the game in Miami, they have not won a game
yeah,
because they
that's
that game
crazy.
because I went to the game where they blew it in the ninth inning. I missed the ninth inning because I had to leave early.
Thank
But
God.
it's probably a good thing I did because I would have lost my mind in that building. But with that being said,
I
I
definitely
I
lost
I
my mind
went to
here.
yeah, I lost my mind on the bus. But, with that being said, since that game, they have not won because I'm pretty sure they lost the game before that. And it sure looked like they were going to, get a series win, which also they only have, I think, one series win since the end of June, if I'm not mistaken. So, that's something too that I can mention. But they lost the game before. I thought they were gonna finally get a series win. I'm like, oh yes, finally I'll see a Yankees win and a series win, and maybe they could get back on track. And no, and a ninth inning bullpen implosion pretty much ended our season. That
Yeah,
pretty much ended the
basically
season.
that we have
If
not
we're
been the
gonna be
same
real here,
since.
that pretty much ended the season. And I think a lot of Yankee fans kind of knew that. I kind of knew that. Once that happened, I was like, yeah, I don't know how you bounce back from that. I don't. I don't know how you recover from that. That was a gut punch of a loss, just one game. But look where it set them now. They've lost 9 in a row, and they've lost what 8 games, 7 games since that happened. It's been over a
Yeah.
week, so it just tells you right there. One bad loss could really change the whole momentum that your team was headed in, and that loss right there did. Because look where they're at now, 5 games under 500, deep in last place. We're like 20 games back in the division or something crazy like that. I don't remember the last time the Yankees were ever that far back in the division. I would just say that to say the least. And they're 9.5 games or something like that out of the wild card spot, maybe even more after tonight. So it's done. It's done.
Yeah,
And it
it's
sucks
it's
that it's done because
it's still here.
it sucks that it's done because you and I had high hopes for this team early on in the season. We were doing these live streams back in early June or late May, talking about this team will make the playoffs. But it's just a matter of how will they get in? No, they're not going to get in. They're not going to get in, and it's a shame that we didn't get to manifest that. But on the flip side, at least we're finally seeing new faces because I wanted to see new faces past the deadline, and we did not. Only aside from Keenan Middleton, which I don't know why they only did that one move. At that point, they might as well just try to sell what they could sell. But at the end of the day, I don't know how those negotiations went, so I'm not going to dig too deep into that. But regardless, I'm just happy we're seeing some new faces for once. It'll give me a little bit of optimism for next season. And I know for some fans, it's like, oh, at this point, we kind of have to look at towards next season, even though we haven't even hit September yet. We have to. I mean, we're so far out of it. It will literally take a miracle to even make the playoffs. Now you got to make the playoffs, and now you got to try to make a run in the playoffs if you somehow get in. We all know this team is not built enough for that.
Yeah,
It's
you
not.
know
It's
that
not
ain't
yet.
happening.
We all know it's not.
Unfortunately.
We know it's not. The team's not built properly enough to, one, even make the playoffs clearly, but two, even if they did, I don't think they're built well enough to withstand a long run in the playoffs. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I got to say about that. So
Yeah, and moving on a little bit here, Jason says we got Sevy tomorrow. Yeah, not necessarily the most confidence inducing pitcher in your rotation. I think that Randy Vasquez should be getting that start. I think it's silly that we're still starting Luis Severino. I think it's so dumb that the Yankees are still trying to convince themselves that there's any merit to starting Luis Severino. I love Luis
yeah, he
Severino.
shouldn't
He
be.
was great when he was great. I thought he was going to be really good this year. He was really good last year. It just hasn't worked. And that happens, right? You know, that's part of baseball. It's part of life. Some guys regress, some guys don't. But you got to know when to call it quits. This guy isn't good. Like he isn't good. There is nothing in the profile that's good. His best start was when he gave up like what 3 earned runs and walked 2 batters over 4 innings. Like, is that a good start? No, it's not. I mean, he can't pitch
The fact that
effectively.
the fact that he had that kind of start, I'm pretty sure that was Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken. He
Yeah,
had that start, which for anybody else is a bad start, or
but for his
a very
standards,
very
he's
below average start. And the funniest part about that start was that Severino's ERA went down.
yeah. I mean,
Severino's
he's been
ERA went
bad.
down after that.
He's been unbelievably bad. I mean,
Like,
it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable he's still making starts. And I think, and talking about kind of where the Yankees need to shift, and they've been making this shift gradually. We saw it with Pereira coming up. We saw it with Peraza coming up. We saw it with, them deciding to DFA Allen. But here's the thing, right? I don't like this. You have to go all in when you're doing something like this. And I'm sorry. It's just like, what are you hanging on to here? He does not have it anymore. He
at this
does
point,
not
it
have
feels
it.
like you're setting him up for failure if you're
You
gonna keep running
tried
him
the
out there.
opener. Yeah, you tried the opener. It failed. You tried to start him again. It failed. His fastball shape keeps getting worse. There's nothing that tells you that he's going to find it again. And he's a free agent at the end of the year. If this was an Alek Manoah situation, right, then you just option the guy or something, or you just ride it out because at this point you got nothing to lose, right? This guy
And
isn't here next year. He
And you could
isn't. I
argue
don't
too that right
care.
now his confidence is like irreparable. Because if you hear the quotes he's been saying, he's
He
been
looks
saying he feels
defeated.
like he's been saying he's the worst pitcher in the game, or he feels like just feels terrible, feels like an awful pitcher. That it doesn't take like one good start to kind of just suddenly fix that. And even with that too, when you got a pitcher that's out here, like what you just said, basically defeated. And I'm not saying that like yes, I know obviously taking him out of the rotation is going to hurt for him. But at the same time, if you're going to keep running him out there when he doesn't even have confidence in his own stuff, you're setting him up for failure. You are setting him up for failure. And that's not right. That's not right. And what you said too, he's a free agent after this year.
Yeah,
Like
it's not like he's under contract. He's not.
he's a free agent after the year. What do you have to lose? It's not like if you bring him back at all, it would be like a 1 year nearly team minimum deal. And even if that, I don't think they bring him back, but I'm just saying that's the type of contract he's going to get at this point. And, it's like, I don't know. I'm not a fan of starting Sevy anymore. I wasn't a fan of starting Sevy anymore after that Baltimore outing on Sunday Night Baseball, but I'm definitely not a fan of it right now when we're basically out of it. Because like, what is the point? What are we trying to figure out at this point? Even if he were to figure it out, what good does it serve? He's a free agent after the year, so what good does it
Yeah,
serve?
there's no
I
purpose.
don't
I
get it.
don't.
It's not like you
Uh,
traded him. You didn't trade him. So what's the point?
it's not like
Like,
you traded for him either. He's just a guy that's here now. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Trevor Alley
yeah,
says
yeah,
Rodon
pretty
was saved by
much.
his defense, which I think is an interesting
Yeah, you
comment.
could argue it. You
Yeah,
could
he
you could
was.
argue it. Honestly, you can argue it. I think Rodon's stuff was better. I don't think it was great though, because he only had 1 strikeout, and as I mentioned earlier, he only got 3 whiffs. So it's not so they were making contact off him. I do think his stuff was a little better. I don't think he was giving up like how do I put this? He was giving up some hard hit balls, yes, but at the same time, it's not like he was giving up a bunch of home runs or anything like that. And you know what? Sometimes pitchers need a good defense behind them to save them. Sometimes we've all, if anyone here has played baseball and has pitched before in their life, whether they were younger or they play in adult leagues, whatever, you know what it's like when when your stuff isn't amazing, but your defense behind you is saving you. And sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need that.
I think
And
he
you
just
know
needed the
what?
confidence booster.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm just glad he
Sometimes you need
completed
that.
6 innings.
He got through 6 innings, pretty, he only gave up 1 run. It was a home run, a very short home run, but he gave up a home run. Oh well, it was the only blemish on his line, so you take it. And you know what? At least the defense looked good. at least the defense looked good. I mean, each outfielder had an assist. I'm pretty sure, and I know the just Network pulled up a graphic. I don't remember it, but it's the first time in a very long time that the
Dude, it
Yankees have
was
had three outfielders have an outfield assist in the same game. I'm pretty sure it was like since the 80s or something
yeah,
like
it's
that.
been a while. Like they did two things that they haven't done in a while. One of them was good, one of them was terrible.
Really
But
bad, yeah.
yeah, but we're focusing on the positives. But Trevor also says Abrams is a vacuum at shortstop. Apparently, he is a bad defensive shortstop. That's what pissed me off the most about some of those plays. He is not a good defensive shortstop. Like he's been really bad this year for the Nationals, and not offensively. He's been solid for them, and he's gotten better. He's young, but he's not a shortstop. Like I don't understand. It's like Rafael Devers does this too, where he's not a good defender, but he plays unbelievable defense against the New York Yankees. Like he's like
And he also plays like Barry Bonds at the plate against the New York Yankees.
Right. If you took his defensive numbers against the Yankees, he's a Gold Glover. Like he makes every play. It's really infuriating. I'm not sitting here and saying that Abrams making plays, like Abrams being a better defensive shortstop today than he usually is like enough to excuse the Yankees, but it's certainly not helping. And I think that's kind of the situation. It feels like everything that can go wrong in a game has been going wrong for 9 straight. And it feels like
we haven't led a game in 8 days.
Yeah, we haven't came in over a week. I mean, this is pathetic. This is some really
bad
baseball.
We haven't led in a game since the Monday game against Atlanta when they were up 2-1 in the second inning.
I'm just surprised they keep getting worse. I'm impressed.
Yeah, it's kind of remarkable.
It is. I mean, it really is.
Like, the Boston game on Sunday, they showed some fight, but they didn't do anything as a result. Nothing happened, and they didn't even lead in that game. And like I just mentioned, haven't led in 8 days. Like 8 days. Do we need to realize how long that is since they last led? Just led, not even win the game. Led. They haven't even been out in front. They're not even making teams afraid of them. They're not even putting any pressure on these other teams. They're not even getting out in front of them.
I don't even know what even I don't even know what to say. Like this is like I've just never seen it this bad. And that's not a hyperbole, right? Like usually it's a hyperbole. Usually I'm the one like telling, like when someone in the comment section says it's never been this bad before. I'm like, oh come on, it's been this bad before. Not in my lifetime. No, it hasn't. Like, this is weird.
It's literally something we have not experienced. We have not experienced something this bad, and we don't say that like as in, oh, we've never seen it get this bad. And other
when
fans
we talk about
it was
we've
worse
never
here
seen this before, it's usually with the Knicks and in a good way, right? Now it's with the Yankees and in the worst way imaginable. Everything that can go wrong has. And it's just impressive. It's impressive. I'm impressed. I am blown away.
I thought it couldn't get any worse when what was that one point in the season? Honestly, there was that one point, like not too long after Judge got hurt, when they were just losing a bunch. It was like in June or something like that. I remember they dropped a series to the Mets. That was like,
they were like the Mets. It was like they were playing the Cardinals, the White Sox. I went to one of those games. I almost got someone killed.
There was like that stretch of time where they had all that, and I thought that was the worst it could get. I was wrong. Boy, was I wrong. Oh man, it's gotten like 10 times worse since that.
Since
what is what I'm very curious about too? What is their record since Judge came back? I'm not over here trying to allude that Judge is the issue, but what is their record since Judge came back?
I don't even,
because it's pretty bad.
Have they won like? I think they might have won one series since he's come back. It's been bad. It's been really bad.
I don't know. Like I think the ones have they won a series since he came back? Have they?
I don't have no.
So if anyone in the comments has that answer, shout it out too. While we try to figure this out. If anyone knows that answer, put it in the chat. Because I don't have that answer right in front of me.
Yeah, like
but I'm very curious to know.
We're at like again, this is just like I've never seen this before. This is new. This is new to us. Welcome to being bad, guys. This is new uncharted territory.
Yeah, if you were born after the 95 season, then you've never seen it get this bad. You literally haven't. That should tell you something. You've literally never seen it get this bad.
I can't believe that it's not an exaggeration for me to say that. Like I just like that doesn't. All right.
For me to say, oh, if you weren't around, if you were born after 95 season, you've never seen it get this bad. No, you literally have not seen it get this
Yeah,
bad.
like
Never.
we
Literally, the stats will tell you that. The stats will tell you it's never been this bad
no,
unless you were born before that. It's
it's
never been
just
that bad for you.
mind-boggling. It's
And
really
you know,
just.
those who were around for like the 90s dynasty, that late 90s
I
dynasty,
envy
and
you.
the
Like I
2000s.
genuinely
Yeah,
might not like you anymore.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know if I like. I don't know if I like
You
them
got
anymore.
like at this point you better not have taken that time for granted, because that is an unprecedented
If
time.
anyone in
We
this
haven't seen
chat
anything like that. So
is like
I
a
was not
Gene.
around for that.
No, I'm saying if anyone in this chat is like a Gene Michael hater, or was like, what is it? Like I don't like you. I'm just gonna be honest. I can't, dude. I can't take it. I can't take it.
Some people who are watching this might have been around for like half of their championships that they've had in their history, and people like me and Ryan have been around for one.
I was 4.
You were 4. I was 7.
I'm not saying I've been tortured.
So I fully remember the 09 championship. I fully remember that one. But that's the only one I've been around for. Matter of fact, that is the only World Series appearance that I've been around for. Well, technically 03 they made the World Series, but I was 1 years old. I don't count that. I don't remember.
Dude, I was in my second year of schooling.
You know,
like I was in my second year of formal education when the Yankees won a World Series. I'm in college. I'm in my second year of college now. Like, good Lord. I mean, look, end of the day, I'm gonna say, like, I'm just gonna clarify, because you know how the sports world works. There's gonna be that one smart ass in the comment section who's like, "You're a Yankees fan. Your team's never been bad before." I understand that I don't have it as bad as other fan bases. I'm gonna still complain though, because this team sucks.
Yeah,
so, but moving on a little bit, Trevor says Jason will get the Anthony Volpe type chance to make the team in spring training of 2024.
I think so too. I think he will.
I'm not gonna lie. He feels different, man.
I feel like he's going to get that chance. Do I think he will make the roster outright? I'm not going to sit here and definitively say yes, but I think he will be given I think the door will be open for him to have that chance. I think it will. We saw what he did in spring training this year, and they loved him, and that clearly they're ready to get him close to the big leagues. They called him up to AAA today. So, and what you said, he had a good game in AAA today. So if he continues to hit well up there, I think he's going to get that chance. I really do. I think Dominguez will get that opportunity. Like I said, I don't think it's as guaranteed, because with Volpe, the shortstop competition was not very deep, obviously, as we know. It was like they badly needed a shortstop. Peraza was not doing well in spring training, so it made it a little easier for Volpe to get that opportunity. But with Dominguez still, I think with just how much the team clearly likes him, because they have refused to put him in any trade packages, it seems. So they really value him highly. So with that being said, I think they're going to leave that door open for him to get a chance to make the roster in spring training next year. I really do. I think they're going to give him that chance.
I agree. And, as I sit here and, I'm not going to lie. I think Jason Dominguez is the most impressive, like, position player prospect we've had in a while, like, offensively. Volpe is the better prospect because he's a shortstop. And I'm going to just say it again. I don't think Jason Dominguez becomes a center fielder, but I also referenced this on a podcast I was a guest on. Yankees Files are my guys. I fucking love those dudes. I was talking, like, a lot of their prospects, like Clayton Beeter, right? Not supposed to be a starter. Anthony Volpe can't be a shortstop. Everson Pereira, strikes out, can't stay healthy enough, strikes out too much. These guys have consistently proven, critics and people who don't think their game is as good as we think they are, or as they think they are, as the organization values them at. A lot of these guys have been told that they can't be this, right? Drew Thorpe was never supposed to be this good. Like, I remember the consensus opinion was, oh, they picked him in the second round. His stuff isn't that good. Richard Fitz, he was coming off of injury. It fell from a first-round pick to, close to the pick 150 to 200 range in terms of where he was projected to go. The Yankees land him in that range, and he's one of their better pitching prospects, and he's pitched like one of the best minor league pitchers in the sport. Chase Hampton, they picked him up in like the 7th round of last year's draft. Will Warren picked in the 8th round of his draft. So I'm not going to sit here and say Jason Dominguez can't be a center fielder. I don't know if he'll be one, but they've consistently defied every single criticism. I mean, do you remember those conversations? I participated in those conversations. The one of Anthony Volpe not being a shortstop. He's a great shortstop. He's a phenomenal shortstop. Yep. I'm not gonna draw these conclusions. I'm not gonna put these limitations on these kids, because all they've done is overperform them. And I was also, I'm gonna cross-reference rates and barrels again. They were talking about how there are a lot of teams that overperform, what people perceive them to be. You think the Dodgers, right? The Astros sometimes get slept on. The Rays are the most popular example of this. The Orioles this year, right? And he was talking about that there is some impact of these guys have played together in the minor leagues throughout their entire career, so they know how to win together, right? And these guys have won, right? Everson Pereira, he wasn't active on that roster. He was actually hurt, but him, Jason Dominguez, Austin Wells, Trey Sweeney, not Ben Rice. Ben Rice was not with the team by then. But Will Warren, Richard Fitz. I mean, all these guys have won championships. All these guys have won something. All these guys have participated in a team that won a lot of games. And I know that that doesn't mean anything at the minor league level to a lot of people, but to these prospects and to learning what winning is, winning together means something. If these kids come up and they play at the level they're supposed to play at, and if Jason Dominguez continues to just tear up the minor leagues, screw it, man. Give him the final series of the year up here. He's been that good. He's been that good. He has been.
And the point you just brought up too about like how they play together and stuff in the minor leagues, it also helps these guys adjust to the major leagues a little easier, being around some guys that they've been around their entire professional career. You know what I mean? Transitioning to Major League Baseball is no easy task. Imagine, you're playing in AAA, which, AAA, of course, there is people that watch that, but it's a whole different landscape than Major League Baseball. Imagine you're playing in Scranton Wilkes-Barre, and then the next morning you're at Yankee Stadium taking batting practice, getting ready to be in the lineup for the New York Yankees. You know what I mean? It's a whole different thing. And like what you said, when the guys are playing together in the minor leagues all this time, and they're coming up around the same time, like it helps them get adjusted to the big leagues a little easier. It does. And sure enough, if they feel more comfortable being in the big leagues, then the results will show. They'll start to produce quicker. Obviously it takes time for rookies to transition into, good ball players, but sometimes we've seen them do it really fast. Sometimes we have. There's been plenty of examples. Look at like Juan Soto, for example. Came up and right away was a star. Gleyber Torres is another one.
Second best year of his career was his first year in the league.
Exactly. Those are just a handful of examples. Look at guys like that. They come up to the league and, boom, instantly good. Look at Ellie De La Cruz too. The Reds called up all their young guys pretty much this year, and the Reds are doing good. They're fun. They got some intriguing players. They look good again. And obviously, I know not every team got the luxury of having a bunch of top prospects or the luxury of being able to call up all the young kids and be good right away. I know not every team has that luxury. I know the Yankees possibly won't have that luxury either, but it's worth giving it a shot when something isn't working, especially when the Yankees roster has a lot of aging and older contracts and older players that are just not contributing anymore at this stage and won't be really contributing for much longer. If we're just being honest, a lot of guys on the roster on opening day, at least, when you look at the opening day lineup, a lot of guys in their 30s, mid to late 30s, even, you know what I mean? So sometimes you got to go a little younger. And I think that's why I think part of that will give Jason Dominguez a chance to crack the roster. I do. And what you said, if he's doing that good, shoot, maybe, just maybe he could find his way this year. I don't think he will, but who knows? At this point, who knows? We can't. Clearly, you and I are not qualified enough to make predictions about this team anymore because all of our predictions about this team have gone south. So, with that being said, who knows?
I was very adamant that Rafael Ortega was better than Willie Calhoun, and I think that. And I also said Cole Calhoun was going to be very good, and Cole Calhoun has like a 130 WRC plus. So I'm going to take my 2 wins. Those are my 2 wins. I thought. This 35-year-old outfielder
just made me think about Willie Calhoun. Like,
how is he doing? I wonder how he's holding.
He's just
in
like
the
vanished.
organization still, right? Is he? I don't know.
I think so. I want to say yes. I want to say after he had DFA'd, then he like went back to AAA or something like that.
I haven't seen him in the lineup, so I don't think so.
You know what? I'm gonna push the agenda. The team fell apart when Willie was gone.
Hey, I'm not. I can't get behind that, dude. I was so. I think Willie Calhoun's a hard worker and a great guy. And I will never speak on a player's work ethic, but he was not a good baseball player.
No,
the Yankees have done
he
so, and this is kind of like, I don't know if you saw the Lindsay Adler article. Did not make some people happy. It made me very happy because I
honestly didn't read it. So
basically, it's like part of the criticism that she levied towards the organization was that she cited that the organization cares too much about appeasing the fans. Now, people read that as her saying the fans are the problem. And that's not at all what that's saying. The issue with the Yankees is that they don't have, like, they're very inconsistent in what they're trying to do. They're a team that, like, we want to have more contact. We want to have more speed. They're a slow team that they don't excel in batting average. They don't excel. They're like league average in strikeout rate. They don't excel in that regard, though. So if the things you say you're going to be good at are things you're not good at, right? What are you building towards? So, and it's not like they're a team that's slugging a ton. They're like league average and slugging percentage too. They're a team that's like kind of caught in the middle. They've been trying to do 3 or 4 different things with their lineup. And it's like, dude, it's a jumbled mess, right? And I think that this organization needs to take that direction of they need to just, I mean, dude, they do what the Dodgers do. Just that's my answer. People are not going to like if I just say be more data driven, but that's what, so I'm just going to rephrase it as what it also is, which is just doing what the Dodgers do. And that's, use your data, get guys to where they need to be, optimize their strengths. The Braves hit the ball 1 billion miles an hour. That's what they do. And we just saw what they did to our lineup. Or to our pitching staff. So if you want guys who slap the ball to left field, sure. I'll take the guy hitting 40, 50 home runs anytime. People can disagree with that. Yeah. Look, here's the thing. There's a reason why teams that hit home runs win World Series. There's a reason why the home run differential in the postseason is such an indicative metric of winning and losing. And that's because you've got to hit bombs, right? You've got to hit bombs. You've got to prevent home runs. You've got to hit a lot of home runs. And, for the Yankees, part of the issue is that they don't get on base a lot. So if you hit a home run, it's a solo shot. And if another team hits a home run, it's a 2-run home run sometimes, a 3-run home run, hell, even a grand slam. And you just don't see the Yankees in those situations. The Yankees actually led the league in batting average with bases loaded at one point. I don't know if you remember that. That was a real thing. And then the Miami series.
That doesn't sound real.
It does not sound right, but that was a real, before this 9-game losing streak, that is exactly that was true. I think that's crazy because you're like, what? But that's what they were doing.
Because you read a stat like that, but then you go.
But they never got on base enough.
But then you look at the regular stats and you see that they have the second worst batting average in baseball, have the second least amount of hits. You look at all that and you go like, oh, there's no way they have this average with bases loaded. Maybe it's because that they don't get many bases loaded opportunities. I guess I don't know. Who knows? Maybe IKF is just hitting every time the bases are loaded. Because he has a 300 batting average or something like that with the bases loaded. So,
dude, I mean, you also have to think too. If you don't put yourself in a position where you have runners in scoring position, right? I mean, how are you supposed to you can say, okay, I succeed 50% of the time with runners in scoring position, which is a high mark. That's definitely not what the Yankees are or anyone is. But if you're only getting 8 opportunities, and then that means you're going to get 4, let's say a success is getting a hit, right? If you get a hit 50% of the time and you score 1 run, that means you're getting 4 runs total in 8 trips. If someone gets 20 trips and they do it 25% of the time, they're half as effective as you are, they get the same result, right? So they just don't get on base enough. So it's not like they can take advantage of the fact that they've done well with runners in scoring position. And, I'm not sitting. That's why I wanted to clarify that, because I'm not sitting here and saying the Yankees do a great job of scoring or that they're a clutch hitting team. Just that they do well when they get in those spots, but they never get in those spots. Even today, did the Yankees ever really threaten? No, they never felt like the Yankees they got a rally going. It's like there's a runner on first.
I don't know if did they even get a runner at second?
I have no idea.
I'm not counting the Rortvedt. I'm not counting the Rortvedt home run.
No, it's run. You would have. I know how to search this up. You have to look at runners in scoring position. How many? You look at it shows you how many at bats you have runners in scoring position and how well you do.
Because the only other hit was a Rortvedt single. Because the only other hit was a single.
It was a lot. So. There was, I think there might have been, because Josiah Gray definitely walked more than one batter in a single inning at least once. I know that they might have been 0 for 1.
It's clicking with me. They did have runners at second, but not that often. I can tell you that.
Still, I mean, what they do for you can say, oh, they didn't hit with runners in scoring position. Well, I mean, what did they have? 1 at bat. Let's see.
And who even hit in that situation too?
They went 0 for 3. They had 3 at bats with runners in scoring position. That's just not good enough, right? It's just not good enough. But I just wanted to get through the comments here because we're really falling behind.
Yeah.
Give me Wells. We talk about Wells. Under 500 missed the playoffs. Yeah, we're bad. They're bad. What are the Yankees' batted ball data on peripherals under Sean Casey compared to where it was with Dylan Lawson this season? I feel like the Yankees under Casey just take pitches when they do get hits. It's stupid ass singles. And how have you guys been? Been a while since I've been on a live. So loaded question there. First and foremost, and I think the only thing that matters here, not my day, but Sean Casey. You can't really. I don't think Sean Casey was supposed to be here to change anything. I think he was here to just be a more effective communicator. It hasn't worked. That's not really his fault. It's not like these guys are very good. I'm not gonna.
Mm.
I think Sean Casey is. I mean, he's well regarded as a great dude, and I think they were just looking for someone who could be a better communicator. I don't think it was like, hey, stop hitting home runs. I think it's more like, hey, you're scuffling, and I'm here for you, man. Like, what, I played, you play. Let's talk about it.
Yeah,
This is what
and there's only so much
really where it's
Sean
at.
Casey can do with this roster.
No,
Just
yeah,
look at the roster. There's only so much he could do. Same thing goes for like Aaron Boone. I just want to put that out there for people who are very anti Boone or ready to fire Boone. Yes, I'm gonna sit here and say obviously Boone is not perfect. I don't think he's perfect by any means. But if you're gonna place all the blame on him, I think that's wrong of you. I think the bulk of the blame belongs to Cashman. I do. I don't think you can only place so much blame on like Sean Casey, Aaron Boone, and the other members of the coaching staff when this was the roster they were given. You know what I mean? I mean, Jake Bowers was hitting cleanup the other day. Cleanup. No disrespect to Jake Bowers, but man, if he's your cleanup hitter, that's a problem. That is a huge, huge problem.
and
Like
he's been a
that.
problem. He's been really bad lately. That's
Yeah,
also kind of hurt
he's been really bad.
because
He's
if you
like
remember when
3
he
for
came
his
off the
last 40
IL,
something with 20 strikeouts. I witnessed him get a platinum sombrero in person.
yeah. Remember
So,
when he came off the IL, he was hitting a bunch of home runs, and that helped us, right? We were actually winning a couple
yeah.
of games that he came back from. But if he's not hitting, then you literally have you have no left-handed power. And I know that
Yeah.
you're going to get diced up by righties. Righties are going to take advantage of the fact that most of your lineup plays better against lefties and righties. And part of that is roster construction. You didn't anticipate that Rizzo would miss as much time as he has this year. I don't think you imagined he was going to be concussed too. Like, it's not like he also missed time. He was ineffective for 2 months. So you're kind of in a really weird spot with this team. There's a lot that you can talk about as in the case of like things they should have done better. But there's also a lot of like, man, what could they have done about this? You know what I mean? And I feel
There's
like I'm
only
not.
so much they could do, and it feels like that, like the coaching staff, or if any of those guys get canned, it feels like scapegoating. Because
I'm willing to
I feel
can
like
people for the sake of
like
canning
and
people, but
and I get that, but at the same time, the way I see it, like if they were to say fire Aaron Boone, because at this point that looks likely, especially if they finish under 500, it feels like Aaron Boone is going to get fired. If he gets fired, but Brian Cashman and the other guys are still there, how much different is it really going to be? Think about that. If they're still there and the roster still looks relatively the same, or only got like slightly marginal upgrades, how much different are things really going to be? That's the thing I'm trying to figure out here. You know what I mean? Like I'm not over here saying that it is 100% on them. No, obviously Boone is not perfect. None of the coaching staff is perfect. I get that. And part of it does go on them because at the end of the day they do have the responsibility to turn these guys into better ball players. But at the same time, the talent level that they were given to begin with was not very high, and the expectations they had were very high. And there's only so much they could do when players that are expected to perform are not performing. It's as simple as that, really. So that's kind of where I stand. I know it's a bit of a hot take for some probably, but that's where I stand on it. I really do feel that way, honestly.
for me, I mean, it's just been. I think at this point you just want to turn a new leaf. You just want to forget as much about this season as possible as an
Well,
organization.
of course you do, because I sure do.
Yeah, I mean, I do not want to remember this year for a while. This team's in last place for a reason. Golf teams don't finish last. Dodgers don't finish last. The Astros will finish last. Nor the Braves. This is just not a good team. Well, yeah, the Everything Channel. This sucks. Yeah, Rodon, good start at least. Yeah, I'm just gonna say. I mean, at this point, it's like I apologize. We unfortunately I should have been reading the comments a little bit more and kind of played to the crowd a little better. But I genuinely wonder. What's wrong with this team? A lot.
Everything.
It's the offense. It's really the offense, right? Like, I mean, there's the starting pitching isn't healthy enough. That's another problem. But like, if you want to talk about why we're in this spot in particular, it's because the offense has been this bad. Like, the offense is historically bad for Yankee standards. It's just not good
Yeah.
enough, and we're not good enough.
Losing streaks happen, but when you don't lead in a ball game for over a week, you're not going to win games. So don't expect much. And what you said, it's the offense. I I said everything sarcastically, but it feels like everything is wrong with this team. It does. It feels like if one thing's going right one game, something else is going wrong that either that same game or the next game, and then you just can't find any sort of consistency or any cohesiveness, I guess, with your pitching staff and your offense. So nothing's clicking, and when nothing's clicking, you're not winning. And sure enough, nothing's clicking. They're not winning. So
Yeah. they don't hit. And if you can't hit, you can't win. I mean, you can't win a game where you don't score any runs. And you won't score one run tonight. You have to be nearly perfect.
Can't win games with 0, so
you had to shut out the other team to win today. It's pathetic. You shouldn't have to shut out a team to win. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Like I feel like I can say that a lot of times, but it's absolutely embarrassing. This team should be absolutely embarrassed. Like I don't think you can reasonably bring back. I don't think you have to. There's got to be at least 6 people in that position player group that aren't here next year, 5 or 6, some number. I don't know. 6 is a little high. That's like half your roster. But they've got to. I mean, third base has got to look different. Center field's got to look different. Catcher's got to look different. First base has got to look different. That's where I'm at right now. Like they got to look different. Pereira's in left, so I'm not going to say look different. Now, if you want to say Dominguez or Wells, those work for me as different. But they can't be who they are currently. No disrespect to Harrison Bader. He's a good player for a team that needs a glove and not a bat. Like when the Blue Jays signed Kevin Kiermaier, it was intentionally to get a better glove and sacrifice some offense. And I mean, they've gotten more offense from Kiermaier than I think they anticipated. But that's a decision that certain teams that can hit can make. But this team cannot hit. They have not proven that. And going with your youth is never a bad idea. It's never a bad plan. It can really work out. There's a lot of high, high ceiling outcomes.
The Orioles went all youth and they're in first place. We've seen it happen. We've seen teams go full youth and be successful, and the Orioles have more on the way. They have the number 1 prospect in baseball who could be up this year for, the teams about to go to the playoffs. And they're going to be loaded with some insane talent, insane prospect talent. And you think about it more and you realize that like most of those guys are not even finished products. So you really don't know how good they could be. The only issue is they play in Baltimore. And most of us heard the Angelos quote the other day of, where he basically admitted that he's not going to be able to retain everybody unless he really opens up the market. So, that's obviously a tough situation if you're an Orioles fan to hear, but at the end of the day, at least they're enjoying some success right now when they went full youth.
Yeah, hey, I feel so bad for them. I feel like it's heartbreaking to know that Adley Rutschman may not be in the division for 6. I mean, I genuinely my heart goes out to everybody in Baltimore. I feel just so terrible. I did not mean to click that. I feel just so bad. So terrible. Real pity in my heart. Like my heart breaks for them, man. Just breaks my heart. But moving on a little bit here. I genuinely wonder what it takes for Dominguez to get up. It seems like it isn't a 0% shot. He'd have to just tear up AAA. Like we're talking destroy AAA. But like, do they stop playing Bader? I mean, that would be weird, right? I feel like you just give him. I think it would just take such an absurd thing to occur for him to get up this year that you just, what? Just
or for like Bader to get hurt.
Right. If Bader gets hurt, that could happen because they could just, all right, you know what? We're just going to 60-day IL this. There's no reason to keep, forcing this situation. But I don't know. I'm not really sure. It's official now. Brad Hand. Fuck Brad Hand. I don't like Brad Hand. Brad Hand's not good. This team's in last place for good. Yeah, they're not good. Ben Stanton. I can't think of a more useless player in baseball. I probably can. I probably think of many. Probably look at this team. There's probably many on this team. But certainly not helping himself right now. Stanton is definitely not in a great spot in terms of where he needs to be at, unfortunately.
No.
It sucks, but I mean, I can't really do anything about it right now. He's here for a while. So kind of have to keep playing him. I understand continuing to play.
And his value is just going down.
Yet no one will take that contract.
Not with that performance, no, because the production does not match the contract. So therefore, you will have to really do some convincing if you want to move on.
Yeah, you can't really get out of that. It's a tough situation. You hope next year is better. I've kind of checked myself out on the team except for Judge and the young guys. Next year will probably be a youth movement, 2017-esque. Yeah. I mean, that's what you hope for. You hope that they get younger. You hope they get a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more entertaining to watch. But outside of that, I mean, this year is
at this point, it's over. We're not making the playoffs. So my outlook now on the rest of the year is Not really about that. It's let's see what these young guys have. Let's see what Pereira could be in the future for us if there is some. Let's see what Peraza could be because we haven't had, a long-term look at Peraza. This is the longest look we're really going to get with Peraza.
Yeah.
So let's see what we have out of him while he's up here. When Austin Wells comes up, let's see what we got out of Austin Wells. Let's see if he's the answer behind the plate for the long term. That's pretty much where I'm at now at this point. You know what I mean? And of course, hopefully Judge finishes the season strong. He would have had probably another MVP like season if he didn't get hurt. So it's unfortunate that happened, but let's just see if he can finish strong, see if he can play well with, the nagging toe injury that he's going to deal with now. Let's see how Volpe does. Let's see how he finishes his rookie season, which I think is a productive rookie season for what it's worth. Like I mentioned earlier, yes, I know the average is low, but I will gladly take a 2020 season from a rookie if he gets to 20 homers. So I will take that. I mean, I would absolutely take that. So
I don't disagree.
and considering they skipped AAA too, and doing this, I mean,
yeah,
you know what I mean. This was his development year, so who knows what's in store? You know what I mean. He very well could break out. I also acknowledge the possibility that he doesn't break out, but at least there is something to look forward to. At least there's something because right now there hasn't been much to look forward to with this team.
Yeah, I will say this. At least our draft pick will be better.
Yeah, that's true.
Honestly, like if the Yankees fit, so you got to get moved back 10 spots because of the luxury tax penalty. The Yankees are over $40 million over the threshold, so they have to deal with that penalty. My bad. I don't know what's going on. But so essentially, the only way to avoid that penalty is to finish in the top 6. Now it is a lottery, and if I look at the MLB draft lottery, there is a lottery. It's like, so if you guys are familiar with the NBA, which we both are, Dylan, it's a similar process. They've done this to kind of switch things up a little bit. Now the Yankees, if we sim the lottery, right, there's a chance they can finish in that top 6. There's a chance, I think, right? Can they get shuffled into the top 6? I'm going to keep scrambling until I see it. I know if the Angels can, then the Yankees can, is my understanding, right? Or are they always just going to be moved back 6 spots? No, like for example, I just simmed it this time. It took a while, but if they get to 6, right? If they land the 6th lottery pick, they actually keep that pick and they have no penalty. If you have the 6th overall pick, you're going to get a pretty good prospect. I kind of just want them to lose out at this point. I know this sounds stupid. And look, this is okay, Frank. I'm just using this as an example. I'm going to be, this isn't the Clay Holmes comment. I'm going to be very nice. I'm a very nice young man. Frank, the difference between the 6th pick and like the 20th pick in a draft class is massive. Corbin Carroll was the 16th pick of his draft. If the Yankees ever drafted a player like Corbin Carroll, the Yankees are winning the World Series with that player. I promise you that's absolutely happening. I know that it's a tough thing to hear, but here's the trade-off you're essentially making. Would you rather make the play? You're not going to make the playoffs. Would you rather miss the playoffs and win 80 games or miss the playoffs, win 75 games and have potentially a lottery ticket at what could be an all-star caliber player? I'll take the lottery ticket. I'll take the lottery ticket on an all-star player minus 5 or 6 more wins. Because at the end of the day, they make the playoffs. Yeah. Oh no, a Red Sox fan's gonna tell you that you finished last and they finished 4th. I don't care. Who cares if they miss the playoffs? Who cares? I understand it's now annoying to have to talk about how finishing last place isn't as bad as finishing is not as bad as finishing in 4th and missing the playoffs. But if it hurts your lottery odds, it absolutely is. I mean, we're at the point now we're talking about mediocrity or just letting letting it all fall out and getting as good of a draft pick as possible. And this system promotes you being able to do that. Now, technically, you can play well, miss the playoffs, and still get that top pick. But why not improve your odds? Why not stack the odds in your favor and give the Yankees an opportunity to draft some guys really good? I'm not saying I want the Yankees to lose, but I'm also saying that if they lose, it's probably not the worst thing in the world if it ends up with a really good pick.
I think you and I know too well about, draft odds being stacked up against, in our favor.
Well, we're not the
and
next
not panning out
Yankees,
we're
so...
Knicks fans, so yeah. I think we know too well about how tricky that can be because, the Knicks, it seemed like weren't trying for much of the 2010s and always had like the 8th pick. And then Even in 2019, they drafted R.J. Barrett, but it was the third pick when they should have had the first pick. So
All I'm going to say
we
is,
know too well about that.
I know, because, like, you know, everyone's like, oh, tanking, it's so bad for sports. Yeah, it's bad for sports. I'm not saying tanking is a productive thing or a thing that serves to better the entertainment value of sports. But if it doesn't better the entertainment value of sports and teams still do it, what does that tell you about its value? That means it's an effective strategy. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to not be good, if you're going to just be not good at all, might as well get a really good pick out of it. Might as well get the little compensation you're going to get from it. And that could be getting the opportunity to draft someone who's in that Corbin Carroll kind of range. And I want to delve into these comments a little more. I'm doing a really poor job at this, but it doesn't matter if they keep drafting shortstops.
We'll make our points a little quicker.
Right. It doesn't matter if they keep drafting shortstops either. You draft shortstop because they're the best athlete, right? It's like, remember the too many power forwards thing that the Knicks had going on where it's like they kept they drafted a power forward. Like, no, you just collect as much good talent as possible, especially in baseball. In basketball, there's a little bit more of an argument to draft for position because they're helping you that year typically. But this is baseball. I don't know who my shortstop is in 5 years. I don't care what anyone tells me. I don't know who it is in 5 years. I think Volpe is it. I don't know. You never know. And Duhar, when he came up, imagine if someone told you he'd be out of the league in what? He'd be off the team effectively 3 years after that, right? These kind of things just happen. I'm not sitting here and saying that's going to happen to Volpe, but you draft the best player available. You never draft for position. I think that's silly. Moving on a little bit. The season feels fake as fuck. Yeah. What's more painful, Blue and Towers defense 5 or the worst loss of this losing streak? Take your pick. I think the Miami loss was the worst loss. I'm going to turn on this air. It's so hot in here, dude. I don't know what's up with Binghamton. It is so hot in here. Blue and Towers defense, easily more painful because I've accepted the Yankees aren't making the playoffs. This game pisses me off to no end. I can't go on a rant about this, but I'm going to leave it at that. Whoever the Dodgers hitting coaches are, throw a bag at them. Go to drive line. Their bat speed needs to be better. Dylan, some of these guys swing the bat and it's slow as shit, right? Some of these guys swing the bat. DJ LeMahieu,
like noodles.
He looks like he's swinging a bat that's too heavy for him almost. I'm not saying his bat is too heavy for him, but that's what it looks like. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Some of these guys look like they, and I'm not going to say
you could even argue Volpe's swing is kind of like that. It looks like like when you're in Little League and you use the donut to warm up in the on deck circle, and then but you didn't really do it properly, or you're using a too heavy bat. That's pretty much like Volpe's swing. Sometimes it feels like he's like using a bat like kind of like that. He pulls his head a little bit too, but those are also rookie mistakes that he can figure out later on.
Yeah, I think he can curb those, but I do think, like, could you imagine if Anthony Volpe added like 2 miles per hour to his bat speed? Like, he'd probably get out in front of some of those fly balls and fucking crush them. Like, he'd be insane. Yeah. The Yankees need to go to drive line, dude. Like, everyone in this comment section who doesn't like analytics, close your ears. The Yankees should send all their hitters to drive line to do bat speed training. That's
team field trip.
Yeah, no, everyone. Like, I'm going as far as to say I would recommend trading any players not willing to do that. Unless it's like Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge gets a free pass. Aaron Judge is amazing at baseball. So, yeah. Aaron Judge doesn't have to go to drive line. But all the other guys, absolutely. They stink. They do not deserve to not go to drive line. I mean, all these guys need help, basically. And if they're here, if they're going to be here, might as well get better. You know what I mean? Might as well. If I'm stuck with DJ LeMahieu, might as well try to improve DJ LeMahieu. You know what I mean? And I mean that in the nicest way possible. I understand it's not DJ LeMahieu's fault the Yankees gave him money. He should never, you should never blame a player for taking the money. Blame the front office. I always blame the front office. It doesn't mean that I don't understand when someone doesn't like a player. Like, if you're getting paid a lot of money, you're not performing well, I can kind of understand how people don't like you. But I mean, if you have these guys, might as well develop them, right?
Yeah. Pretty much.
So,
I mean, what do you have to? I mean, they got to do something.
Have literally nothing.
I mean, like the way their at bats are right now. I mean, like, there's no way the front office is okay with watching that. There's no way. I refuse to believe that.
No, they're not. They're furious.
Even though they were the ones who constructed this roster, I refuse to believe that they're okay with what they're watching day in and day out. I refuse to believe that. 100%.
Yeah, I don't think. Just don't think they're happy. I hope they're not. I'm not. You guys saw my tweets about who I want to fire, especially Sabian and Omar. Specifically, we should have hired James Click. Yeah, we should have hired dudes who, aren't relics, right? Like, the Yankees keep trying to do this thing where, like, they just hire a bunch of guys who have done things like the 90s. It's like, dude, I don't care. hire a guy who's gonna like innovate. Hire a guy who's gonna do some shit that like can change how we are and help fix the philosophy. You know what I mean? I don't need these like I've watched a lot of baseball in my life. Like I don't care. Can you help us? Right? Like this hiring dudes based on pedigree only and not on what actually works is pissing me the hell off. But Yankees get better players. DJ and Stan are cooked. Yeah, we talked about that. Dorp would actually be insane. Imagine what he can do if he adds a few ticks to his velocity. He should be our. I think he's good enough to be our fifth starter right now. I mean, that's a hot take, but I like hot takes.
Yeah, I mean, he has been really good, and I mean, look how shot the rotation is right now. Luis Severino's still getting starts.
That's all I need to say. Anyone could start over Severino at this point. Like I would start anybody.
I haven't pitched in a game in like 5 years.
Dude, Justin could definitely get more major league outs than Luis Severino can. If you get
he definitely could.
If Dylan is catching, under the presumption that Dylan is catching, I think Justin can get through.
Oh yeah, he can. He can
get more outs than Luis Severino can.
Definitely could. He definitely could.
We're definitely completely wrong, but it's fine. I don't
care. Oh yeah. But it's funny to push that narrative.
Fly Lattori. I don't know if I'm late to this conversation. What do you guys think of Everson's debut? He impressed me in the first at bat. He stung the ball in the last at bat. It's a work in progress. He'll get better hopefully as time goes on.
Yeah, one game, and you know what? Hey, get your feet wet now. It's the best time to do it. So.
He didn't look overmatched. I think that's the important thing. No. He looked like he belonged, which I was very concerned that he wouldn't.
And he looked like he had some confidence in that first at bat too when he worked that walk. He showed some discipline. He showed some discipline. It didn't look like he was just up there trying to free hack and go for the long ball right away. Nah, he showed some discipline, showed some pride a little bit. So just love to see what he'll do in the future. Obviously, I'm not going to sit here and act like I expected him to hit 2 home runs today or anything crazy like that. No, but, like you said, work in progress. Get your feet wet now. This is the best time to do it because it's not like this team's going anywhere this season. So show them what you got because at this point, we're just watching you at this point. If Everson Pereira has ever watched Fireside Yankees, you will know, he will need to know that we are at this point mainly watching him and seeing what he's going to do. We're excited for it. So.
Yeah, definitely. And moving on here, Yankee fans may have the highest exit velocity exiting the stadium if they keep losing and don't call up guys at this point. Well, they've called up guys. I mean, now they have. I know they didn't prior to today's beautiful episode, but this lovely live stream we're discussing just great stuff.
A lot of great things about the New York Yankees right now.
Mostly about their farm. At this point, it's the Yankees farm system is awesome, and that's the only good thing right now we got going for us. It's that it could change very soon. But I mean, yeah, if they keep losing, I might go to a game just because Pereira's up. I mean, I know people are like, oh, well, people going to games, they're part of the problem. People are going to go. Like, regardless, it's a tourist attraction. Like, if people are going to go regardless.
I don't even understand that argument either. It makes no sense to me.
Look, I get it. You don't want to, you want, Cash Howell to feel it in his pockets. I understand. But guess what? If you don't buy the ticket, someone who's visiting New York for the first time or only get to see one Yankee game or had a planned trip to New York at this time of the year or bought season tickets, like they're still going to go. They're not going to say, I've got to waste my money because, at Fire Brian Cashman on Twitter is going to be mad at me. Like, I don't know if like certain people on Twitter think like they matter in real life, but like I don't think about certain people tweeting and thinking, man, I wonder what they think whenever I make a decision. Like if I buy Yankee tickets, I'm not gonna. I don't care if someone's like, you're still supporting the team. I want to go do what I want. I'm spending my money however I choose to spend it. I really don't care about Twitter fingers. So, look. I don't know. I get that's like a trigger for me. I don't like when people say that.
To me, I never even like cared. Like if you go to the game, great, enjoy it. If you don't go to the game, okay. Oh well, you do you. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, you're a problem. You're going to the game. No.
Yeah, Dylan has slowly learned that there are triggers for me. Dylan has slowly learned there are things that just set me off.
Remember the if things from earlier from our older streams,
dude. That pissed me off. That still pisses me off. Okay, I said I don't care about people on Twitter say. I certainly care about what certain people say when it comes to takes about the Yankees. I thought about that take for like weeks. That pissed me off so much.
Anytime someone presented an if scenario to Ryan, he would get very upset.
No, the if scenario that pissed me off was if the Yankees didn't have Aaron Judge. Yes,
Yep.
if the Yankees didn't sign Aaron Judge, which they have signed, they signed him fucking a year ago, right? I, yes, then they would be worse. Yes, that is true. Thank you for the brilliant observation. If something that cannot be undone got undone, like that's like saying that's like if I was sitting here, like, could you imagine if I was sitting here, like, if
If I
Joey Gallo
wasn't
was
born,
good,
we wouldn't be doing this live
right?
stream. Something
Or
like
if
that.
Joey Gallo was good, then the Yankees would never be in a situation without a left fielder. So Brian Cashman isn't to blame. Like, no, that's not how that works. Okay, it's just not how that works. It's not how that works. It pisses me off to no avail. Or the Clay Holmes one. That one really, I was really mad about that one. That's just,
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I know Clay Holmes has been bad lately, but like, I don't care. He's not the problem with this team. Moving on a little bit. Volpe's floor is really high, by the way. Yeah, he's a great defender, and a great defensive shortstop is a high floor player. So excited about that, definitely. Rest in peace, Greg Allen. I'm kind of sad they DFA'd Greg Allen. He's kind of a baller. He fucks, dude. Like I hate to like kind of curse a little bit here, but I don't really hate to curse. I love cursing. But I have to say that because if I gotta make the company look good. No, in all seriousness though, he was kind of a baller, dude. Like I really liked. I genuinely
you
thought
know what?
Greg
Allen's last
cool.
hit as a Yankee was almost a home run off of Kenley Jansen.
That hurt so bad. That's like the embodiment of the Yankee season. That is
hit
the
top of the wall. Like he hit that, and off the bat, I was like, "Oh, he got out in front of that." I'm watching that ball travel. I'm like, "No way, Greg Allen took Kenley
Dude,
Jansen
it's just
deep,
when you
right?"
pull a fly ball to right field, you anticipate that ball is gone. Like when it gets that close, at that point, you don't even think about it.
It was closer than I thought when I saw the replay. I look at the replay.
Yeah, it was legitimately
top of the wall. I was like, "No way!"
That was heartbreaking.
I was
like heart shattering.
Wow.
It's almost as heart shattering as my losses in Balloon Tower Defense. Those are heartbreakers, dude. Like my heart is broken when that happens. Like I really hate that game. Like I play it, but I hate that game. But yeah, no, Greg Allen, that home run was closer than I thought on the first read as well.
Almost home run. Can't say that home run because he didn't hit it out.
If Greg Allen hit a home run, would we be as upset right now? If Greg Allen hit a home run, would we be as upset? Like I can't do that, dude.
If Greg Allen hit that home run, would he be DFA'd right now?
Like if I was 6 inches taller, would I be playing D2 baseball? I don't fucking know. Like I don't care. Like dude, I can't. I just can't do ifs. I can't do ifs. I can't. I hate it so much. Because it's not like if, as in like a reasonable conversation. Like, what if, Carlos Rodon didn't get hurt? Then you're like, yeah, if Carlos Rodon didn't get hurt, maybe the season looks a little bit better, right? And that's, I think, a fair thing to say. But we're saying, like, if Aaron Judge isn't with the Yankees, is just the dumbest thing ever because he was with the Yankees starting the year. Like, you can't use that to criticize the roster construction. You can say they don't have a left fielder, they didn't get a good enough third baseman, but you can't say if they didn't have Aaron Judge, they wouldn't be good. Like, they signed him. He's on the team. I'm moving on. I cannot keep arguing about this. I'm arguing with myself right now. Everson Pereira didn't do much. I'm just happy to see something different. Didn't really care about wins, but happy to see new face and athletes on the roster. I kind of agree.
Yep.
It's not that Everson Pereira
right there with you.
Yeah, it's like Everson Pereira walked to the stadium and just like dropped dick on people. But hey, it's Everson Pereira, not Billy McKinney. No disrespect to Billy McKinney. He was like not even that bad of a player. He's just not a starting caliber left fielder. I saw a home run live. I hit a home run live. Him and Jake Bowers against Luis fucking Castillo.
I don't care. That doesn't beat me seeing Ben Rortvedt hit a home run in person.
Dude, you seeing Ben Rortvedt hit a home run in person is incredible. Like I think the weirdest home run I've seen in person, I saw Tony Kemp hit its go-ahead 3-run home run against Wandy Peralta in person.
Oh, you were at that game.
2021, yeah. And that was the only game of that series they lost. And then the same thing happened with when they played the Royals and the Royals came into town. They lost the game I went to and then proceeded to win the next two. Volpe's a 4-WAR floor. The ceiling could be like a top 3 shortstop. I don't know if he's a 4-WAR floor because this year he's been worse than that. So like that inherently means it can't be that. But is the ceiling top 3? Yeah. If you're good defensively at your position, you immediately, and you're like not the worst offensive player in the world, there is a world where you become a top 3 player at your position, especially a position like shortstop. Volpe is very fast. He's got good base running acumen. He's got it. I mean, if he's been weird stealing lately, like he's been weirdly not very good at that. But you kind of hope it gets better. I think it will. I think he's just got to be more aggressive. Like, I don't know why he was not running when they didn't even make a throw. Like, dude, just go. Like, just go. If you're going to steal, just go. Just go. Run your heart out, kid. I mean, you don't have much to play for right now. Just run. Like, just get the timing down. I don't really like the idea of him being passive on the base paths, but I'm very excited about what he can do.
Yeah, pretty much. And, if Volpe becomes a top 3 shortstop one day, then phenomenal. it makes us not signing Carlos Correa look even better. So
Yeah, Carlos Correa, who's a below average player this year. Just wanted to clarify.
yeah,
for some people.
my point. So
Wander Franco's stats don't count. Yeah, I agree. I agree with a lot of this. But I'm gonna
moving
move
on.
Last time the Yankees, Pokemon did not exist. Big Pokemon guy here, by the way. I'm a huge Pokemon guy. I'm a Pokemon super fan. So what do you even say? I didn't know filters didn't exist back. I thought filters were like a 2010s thing, but I don't think I know technology.
I don't even know.
But I'm a big Pokemon guy. Dylan, I'm telling not Pokemon Go.
I'm not. But no.
Hey, I'm not talking Pokemon Go. See, people are like, "Oh, I play Pokemon Go." No, you didn't play Pokemon. You played Pokemon Go, right? That's not Pokemon. Pokemon's Fuego, dude. Like, that's a great game. I love that game. They should have won the game. Dylan went to Miami. Yeah.
Yes. They should have. And I am very
if they
upset
won that game. No, I'm joking.
If I didn't leave, they would have won that game.
Honestly, you might have ruined the season. You might have.
It's my fault. It's my fault, y'all.
Clearly, it's not the offense. The offense is just. This is a reasonable explanation.
It's not the offense. It's clearly my fault. We've identified the cause now, so it's my fault.
So we're good. We're gonna win the division.
My bad, y'all. I take the blame.
41 years ago was the last time the franchise lost in a row. I know. Games against I think that too. These games, those are brutal losses because those games, if they won those games, they're at least in it, right? Like
even if they didn't, even if they don't. Theoretically, they got swept by the Angels. If they
played better, if they won the
series, even if they won one of those games, you feel like it would be a little different.
If they won the series that they should have won, which is the White Sox 2, the Cardinals, the Rockies, and the Angels, they're not in a playoff spot, but they're not out of it.
Pretty sure they lost the series to the Cubs too, and that was before the Cubs got hot.
Well, I mean, the Cubs were. I'm not gonna.
That was before they got
hot.
That was before they got hot. So.
I'll give them.
I guess
I'll give it to them. I mean, You're right. They should have gotten shut down by Jameson Town. That was embarrassing. That was a winnable game, and they got smoked by Jameson Town. That was a problem. I think that's
the thing. That's the thing. Not knocking on the Cubs now because the Cubs got hot now, and now they look like they're in line to.
They got Heimer Candelario. They got Theo Candy.
They got Candelario.
Just saying.
But that was before the Cubs got like red hot, and cause I'm pretty sure when we played them, the Cubs were 6 games under 500. So
yeah, they were not very good.
At the time, that was a team you had to beat. At the time, that was a team you had to beat. So
we blew that third game too. There were a lot of third games that we just couldn't close the fucking door.
That third game was my birthday against the Cubs. That third game. That was so July did not. The past month of me watching games has not treated me well. They blew that game against the Cubs on my birthday. I leave the game in Miami early, and they blow it in the 9th inning. Maybe it is my fault.
Man, we gotta figure out what's wrong here, man. Like this is that's not a coincidence.
I'm sorry, around with some 4-leaf clovers or something. Like,
dude, we gotta figure some shit out. Like this team,
carry some pennies around or something. Like
I don't. Shit, man. This has just been a brutal.
Maybe it is my fault.
Ever since I went to Yankee Stadium, accompanied by someone in a fog and got them sick, the Yankees have not been good. So maybe that's my fault. Apologies if they're not watching this, but apologies for taking you to a game.
It's Fireside Yankees' fault that the Yankees suck. It's official.
Apologies for taking whoever that, not naming names, but to that person and that individual, I apologize that we went when the world looked like it was going to end. Unfortunately, I think that might have cursed our season. That was the series against the White Sox. Remember that? That was right after the Dodgers series. And that same day that it was announced that Judge was going on the IL. So, yeah. Maybe it is my fault. Maybe, you know what? It might be. We'll see, though. By the way, Dylan, what general part of Florida do you live in? I don't know if you want to answer this question. I'm not going to force you to answer this question, but
no, it's cool. I live near West Palm Beach. And I live about an hour away from the Marlins Stadium. So that's where, essentially.
I'm gonna just nod my head in agreement as if I know Florida. I agree. I agree with where you live.
But that's cool though. Yeah, no, I live a little bit further out from where Miami is, but it's still cool to go once in a while. The Yankees don't go to Miami too often, so whenever they are out there, I try to make the trip out there. but it's unfortunate.
It
Not
was the
too
first
often
time
that-
since 2018
It,
going there,
the,
right?
they went in 2021, but I didn't go because of COVID at the time.
Oh,
So
right.
I
Yeah,
was
they
I,
were
I
there.
wasn't gonna go during the peak of the pandemic, but 2018 I did go, and I did go to the Trop once, but that was all the way back in 2011, so that was a very long time ago. But other than that, I try to make the trip to Miami whenever they go out there. It's always cool to
Dude,
go see them.
if I went to the Trop, I feel like I'd just be angry the entire time. I fucking hate the Trop. We're going there next. I'm not happy. I'm not a very happy camper today. I saw the Rays on our schedule, and I just like, no, dude. Like, like, if we don't win a game against the Nationals, we're getting fucking swept in Tampa. Like, we're gonna lose like 50 fucking games in a row if we don't win a game against the Nationals, dude. It's gonna get ugly. It's gonna get ugly fast. We're gonna be competing. It would be the most Yankees thing ever to finish with like the 6th worst record and fall out of the top 6 in the lottery. Would it not be? That would be the most, like, that would make sense. Because then your pick gets moved back 10 spots. So if you go, the difference between 6 and 7 is actually 6 and 17 for the Yankees. They're totally not. Like, if they lose enough games to get into a spot like that, they're 100% not. Like, they're gonna not get that. They're not gonna get in the top 6. That would be a very Yankees thing to happen to them, I think.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I'm so obsessed with the draft right now because that's all I can think about. As because you have to live on the border of Miami and Tampa, like earlier conversation. Yeah. Things go 37-0, they still miss the playoffs. I don't think that's true. If they go 37-0, they have like 97 wins. So
yeah,
not true. You
know what?
97 wins.
Hey, you know what though? We're gonna manifest it right now. They're going 37-0 the rest of the way.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, do you know, like, has a team ever missed the playoffs in like the 2 wild card era with 97 wins? No, it's a 3 wild. They're 3 fucking spots.
There's no way that's wild card era. There's no way.
There's no way that's possible.
If you mean to tell me that 4 other teams ahead of them also got 97 wins, or even more than 4, but you get the point. If you mean to tell me that many teams got more than 97 wins.
Like, at that point, you just gotta accept
what's
that
going on.
You just weren't making the playoffs. Like, at that point, it's just like, yeah, you just weren't.
It was just not meant to be. It was just
not.
Like
your ass was not cooking.
It was just not meant to be.
You're fucking. It's over.
It was just not meant to be at that point.
You gotta pack it up. Maybe pack up the franchise too. Like, at that point, if we missed the playoffs while winning 97 games in the 3 wild card era, I would just be like, all right, yeah, no, like, what do you want me to do? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, I can't take it. Like, I wouldn't be able to take it at that point. I think I'd just give up and be like, all right, shit, guess I'm not a Yankees fan anymore. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, right?
I would never go with my team. But I would definitely just like sit there in agony. The Luis Severino's a Dominican king, Ryan. Well, he was, now isn't. Very sad that Sevy isn't having a good year. Same. Morning Brew Sports. What it do, boys? Salute. What's good, my guys? I've been in the chat lately, but been watching a replay. I appreciate you. You guys have been good. I've been hanging in there.
You guys too.
How about you, Dylan? Are you hanging in there, bud?
Yeah, definitely doing better. I'll tell you that.
I don't
doing
think
a lot
I am.
better. So, aside from this Yankee stuff, doing a lot better on every other aspect.
I am definitely doing a lot better on other aspects.
If you've seen, what's happened in the past month, then you know. But I'm doing better in that stuff. So
that's what we love to hear.
So that's at least the bright side of things.
If we want to focus on positives, like good, like, keep the positive vibes going. My flirting grade has gone up from a 45 to a 60. It's an above average tool for me now in my prospect development.
Hey.
Hey, we're looking for third base, huh? No, that's bad. That's a little too much. We're moving on. His best start this year was against the Reds, I think. Yeah, it was that first Reds.
And it was his first one. It was his first one.
Pumping shed. He looked beautiful.
He gave up like one hit, if I remember. He gave like 1 or 2 hits that start, and it was the bloop single. And then he had that start. Then he had that start against San Diego where he also gave up like 1 hit, even though it was.
And we won that game. And we won the series. Yeah. We came back.
Pretty sure that 1 hit though that he gave up was like an absolute moonshot from Tatis. But
Tatis
at least that
day.
Yeah, he murdered us that whole series.
Yeah, I was there for the first game. That was fucking hilarious. Dude, that was just hilarious.
When the fans were heckling him, and he started doing this. That was
one of the funniest games I've ever been to.
I forgot about that.
That dude, like, he's a great A troll. I gotta respect. I gotta respect the grind. I respect the grind. That dude's a fucking great troll. Dude, what a fucking. This has been a long ass year. It feels like forever ago. Because it is. It really is forever.
And we still have 37 games left.
We were complaining when they were in a playoff spot. Now they're not.
Yeah. Dude, it feels like we've witnessed like 2 different seasons, and there's still 37 games left.
Yeah,
we still got a month of this. We still got a month of this left.
37 more games. Hopefully it gets better. Glad everything's up, but it's a little too late, honestly. Yeah, it's not going to help them make the playoffs, but at least he's playing. Yankees are basically controlling Luis Severino at this point. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm going to just never understand. Like, even when he stops starting, it's going to be way too late. Like, it's just like, dude, why was he ever still allowed to start in the first place? It just pisses me off, man. Like, he should not be getting starts over guys like Randy Vasquez. He just should not. He absolutely should not be, and he is. And it's maddening. It is. It's maddening. I don't understand bad process. I don't like bad process. I'm a big process fan. When the process isn't good, I'm not happy. Dude, I actually like genuinely get like heated whenever I see a team making a dump, like a team I like the Yankees, making mistakes like this. Like, it's not a mistake a team that's ran well consistently should be making. You know, just make the call. Just go to Vasquez or something. I don't see it with Sevy anymore. I don't think anyone sees it with Sevy. I don't think Sevy sees it with Sevy. And that's kind of the most important thing here. It's not even that. I'm not talking for Sevy. Sevy says it himself. Severino tells you himself that he doesn't think he's good anymore. He thinks he's the worst pitcher in baseball. The worst pitcher in baseball deserves a rotation spot? No. So moving on here. Let's see. Any other new conversation starters? Smack that like button. I agree with this statement. We should smack that like button as much as possible.
We're up to 59 at the moment, so yeah.
This is very true. Ben Wertvett's the only guy who can believe in to get actual hits right now.
Hey, he was the only one who got hits today. So
when we shut down the Rangers, yeah, I remember he had like a decent start against the Rangers. He wasn't very good in that start. Like, he like didn't get strikeouts, so I wasn't very moved. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty unmoved by the start. But at least he did it. Like shit, I miss when he would do stuff like that, you know?
Shoot, I forgot that we even won a series against the Rangers.
I can't believe we won a series against the Rangers. That was like a really good turnaround for the Yankees were in a good spot at that point.
Yeah.
They
rolled off some good wins, some competitive, even though one of those wins was 1-0. They shut them down. You take it.
I miss winning.
You took it at the time.
Point, I'll take winning 1-0 in a 15-inning game. I miss winning. It's lonely feeling to not win games. This is truly a depressing situation for the New York Yankees, isn't it? Let's see. Call it the Martian. Sure. I agree with defense. His defense 100% picked them up. Good place to start. Abrams. No, Abrams a bad defender. Like, Abrams has like negative outfield average. He's not a very good defensive shortstop. I know he hasn't made errors, but sometimes not making errors can be a result of just not taking those or not getting to it. Because errors are, you have to touch the ball. So if you can't even get to the ball in the first place, you're not going to get an error, even though you should have made the play, if you get what I'm saying. You got to look at defensive metrics. It can't be errors. Errors are just, we're past kind of that point.
The film too. The eye test is
important. The eye test. Yeah. I mean, you probably could do better.
See how they're going after the ball, see how they're making the throws, see what kind of routes they're taking to ground balls and stuff. That stuff matters.
I think you're better off watching them play than using errors. I think errors is like the worst thing we can do for defense at this point. I know that errers aren't good.
And especially with how like ticky-tacky
those rulings, man, they're terrible.
Because, you know, because that's what I'm saying. Some of the rulings you look at and you're kind of scratching your head after you're like, how was that an error? Or how was that a hit? Like,
do you remember last year, like, IKF would make like 3 errors?
The statute will only tell you so much.
Do you remember like last year? It would be like you'd make an error,
and they would give him a hit each time.
Yeah, and it's like
because he would take the most awkward route to the ball. So he would take the most awkward route to the ball. So therefore, the official scores probably looked at that and go, "Oh, he had to make a tough play." No, he just made it look tough.
I'm like, dude, like, I mean, no disrespect to IKF because he's not a shortstop right now, and I'm not going to dog on him for not being a short. He's not going to play as much down the stretch.
Hey, he's the Heart and Hustle Award winner that he got today.
So hey, I'm glad he turned his like the perception of him around.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He's been one of the few players that aren't worse than what they were last year. Like, this is what you expected from IKF offensively, and he's giving you that. And that's fine, and he's been good in big spots.
And you know what?
So,
I respect the fact that he was willing to change his role for the betterment of the team.
I mean, there's a lot of reasons.
Thought it was going to be the betterment, but you get the point. At the time, it was the better option to take IKF out of shortstop. Well, yeah, but you get the point that I'm making. I always say that because of the fact that our record is awful, but with the way it was meant to be, IKF was not supposed to be our shortstop anymore, and he was willing to take a back seat, take a utility role. He even wanted to play the outfield. Not many other guys who play the infield are going to sit there and go, "Oh, I'll play the outfield." Most of them would be pretty upset about that. So you know what? IKF
it's also not an easy. Like, no one wants to make. That's a tough switch. You can probably get
it's a tough switch.
And you can kind of just ask out at that point. So like, hey, this isn't a fit here. Another team will agree. They'll find the value for you, and it just didn't happen. I don't know if teams didn't want IKF. I wonder if the Yankees were asking for too much. Whatever it was, he's still here.
whatever it was, he's still here, and I'm not gonna sit here and like complain about it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if he like becomes a utility piece, not someone to play every day, but if he becomes a utility piece like on this team when the other pieces around are built in a better situation, I won't mind it. I think it'd be fine. I
Yeah.
think
Well,
he'd be fine in that role.
don't disagree.
Obviously, like I said, obviously, I don't think he's someone that you should be relying on to play every single day. But if he's a utility piece, I'll take it.
I think it's just he's not a good enough outfielder for me to. I mean, the team needs bats, so I'm willing.
And I'm not going to throw him in left field every day. I'm
not sure I'm giving him a contract. I don't think I want
to.
I don't really think I want any players. I think
maybe
like Wandy and like Middleton's pretty good. I could see Middleton's good, but I don't know if we're gonna need him. We're gonna need a left-handed reliever.
I don't know if we need him.
You're gonna have Efros back, I think, next year. So
I don't know if we need Middleton because if you think about it, like you just said, Efros
could trade a guy.
You could trade a guy,
get some value back. That would be a good idea.
I don't know when Lou Trevino is supposed to come back, but hopefully sometime soon. Not this year, obviously, but you get the point within the next season. I'm pretty sure they still have Luis Heel as well as a possible option.
Yeah, he's still working his way back. I wonder what that is going to end up looking like.
That's going to be an interesting situation, though, especially with how the starting rotation is at the moment.
And he's going to have to build up all his innings back. I think he's just a reliever. I think they just say, hey.
Probably. At this point, I think you just put him in the pen. It'll be quick. You could get him back to the big leagues sooner that way, too, if you want him in the big leagues. You can get him back up here sooner that way.
Yeah, no, that'd definitely be a thing.
Because if you got to build him up to be a starter again, that's going to take a while. That's going to take like a good month or so. And if you want him up in the big leagues and you need the pitching depth, you're just going to turn him into a reliever.
I think he's a reliever.
Work his way back,
we'll see.
And that's fair to say. And I think it is what it is. I don't think Luis Heel is suddenly going to become a closer. No, that'll be some craziness. But hey, if he becomes a serviceable weapon in the bullpen, then hey.
I think he's got the stuff to be pretty good, but we'll see. We'll have to wait and see. I hope he's back soon because this would be a good opportunity to get him innings, but we'll see. I kind of want to answer, kind of get to some more pressing questions because I understand we're an hour and a half in, and ideally we all get a reasonable amount of sleep for a human being.
Not you.
No, not me.
Sleep.
Reasonable amount of sleep is like 5 hours.
You choose to never sleep. You choose to not sleep.
If they get swept, I mean, we said, if they get swept.
Well, I don't think they beat Tampa anyway. So.
I don't either. Pets still played with the Legos they played with in 1995. Hey, I would honestly, I can't lie. Some of them Lego sets are fire, man. Like, I'm not gonna hate. If Hal Steinbrenner came out as like a Lego guy, I think I'd like him more. I don't know. I think he'd pass the vibe test. This wasn't anti-Volpe propaganda. I just didn't think he was a shortstop, and he was. Like, I thought Peraza was going to be a better defender, and I mean, maybe Peraza is the better defender. I don't know, but I don't care to find out at this point. And then, what are your thoughts on the Ben Ruda situation? Did you see that? Like, it was, I think, on Foul Territory TV.
I have not actually. At least I don't think.
This
fill me in. Maybe I've heard of it, but maybe I haven't.
He was with the organization from 2016 to 2019. Essentially, he went on a podcast and was talking about how the Yankees have like issues with their coaching at the minor league level. Now again,
I did hear about this. I want to say I did.
So
I want to say I did.
I'm gonna just say from what I understand with how the farm system has played, which is really what matters here. They've been very good this year. They've been very good for the last few years. They have given the Yankees a lot of trade chips, which I know haven't resulted in the outcomes you've wanted. But they have turned into trade chips. You turned a bunch of guys who were like 8th round picks into pieces for big trades. And I think that matters. He was saying that they don't really they rely too much on analytics, or not on too much on analytics, but they don't use analytics properly. And like the minor league teams perform so well. Like, I just think it's so silly to use it to like attack the minor leagues. I think Boone had a really good quote about this.
You brought up about analytics. I saw a thing about AJ Pierzynski talking about it as well.
Dude, AJ Pierzynski, they get okay. Everyone, we're gonna have a conversation. Quick little conversation about AJ Pierzynski and kind of that narrative. The New York Yankees are not over reliant on analytics, and that's not a thing. Like that I don't think, like, people think that the Yankees are like, all right, you cannot make contact. We want you to just hit home runs. Do not make contact. If you want to boil down analytics to just striking out and doing the wrong thing, fine. You can do that. You're not, I mean, at that point, it's too, I can't tell you anything that's going to change your mind, even though you're wrong. That's fine. The Dodgers are the best team in baseball consistently. The Braves are the best team in baseball this year and are usually around the best team. The Astros, the Rays, the Orioles, these are all extremely forward-thinking, data-driven teams. If you're going to sit here and tell me that with those teams succeeding, that using analytics as much information as possible is not to your advantage, you're fucking crazy. And because the New York media, this is what they do. Like, this is what they've been doing lately. The Yankees need more balance. Ken Rosenthal goes on that podcast as well. The Yankees have struggled with balance. They've used data too much. The team tried to fucking bunt their way to beating Cutter Crawford and the Boston Red Sox. Are you going to sit here and tell me that that's a data-driven decision? Do you mean to tell me that two nerds sat down, ran their calculations, ran the run-scoring probability charts?
Something that was a data-driven decision was batting Jake Bauers cleanup, though.
Hey, Aaron Boone makes the lineups. Aaron Boone makes the lineups. Like, he's the guy who makes the lineup. He has autonomy over that stuff. And he's an old school guy. Their manager's the guy putting together the lineups is an old school guy. The guy, whoever makes that decision, it's Aaron Boone. Aaron Boone is an old school guy. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say that that's even data driven because I know Aaron Boone makes the lineups, right? Like, the thing that really pisses me off about the narrative is that it's so not based in where we're at with baseball. Name me a team that's not data driven that's fucking good. Name me a team that doesn't rely heavily on analytics. In analytics, okay, they don't know how to read and translate the numbers. I'm gonna just make this very clear. There are just certain things I can and can't say, and so that's kind of the issue we're in. But what we do know is the Yankees actively tried to rely less on data coming into this season. Hal Steinbrenner spoke about how, they're trying to focus more on balance. That's something they pride themselves in. And when you look at the difference between their minor league and major league organizations, the minor league organizations are entirely data-driven, right? Like, every decision they make is based on data. Every developmental tool, all that stuff is based on data. They don't do that at the major league level. That doesn't mean that those smart people don't exist or aren't recommending these changes at the major league level. It just means that their ideas aren't getting green-lighted. So they may have people, and I imagine they do. They have the largest research and development team in the sport, right? Like, they have a lot of, they invest a lot in their data ops, but it seems like they don't use those opinions enough because their decisions aren't the ones that are, or their opinions aren't the ones that are usually taken with the most value. And so I just want to clarify for the Yankees organization, if you want the truth as to what goes on there, they've become a little less data-driven. They want to, try to be more balanced. They want to bring a more old-school feel of things. It hasn't worked. They're going to have to reevaluate in the offseason. They're going to have to go in a more data-driven direction, and that means listening to their data guys more. You can't look at how the minor league system has been built and tell me that they are being the same people that are responsible for that are having their opinions heard at the major league level, because they're not. Like, you don't have minor league success and then fail to have major league success. If you know what I'm saying? If that gap exists, that tells me someone's being listened to in certain conversations, but not others. You know what I'm saying? Because it's the same sport, right? Like, could you imagine if the Knicks G League team was better at finding players than their major league team? It's like, what are we talking? What's going on here? You know what I mean? End of the day, I get it. There's gonna be a war against analytics. I understand that's always gonna exist, but keep fighting the battle. The sport's still gonna keep moving in the opposite direction of where you want it to end. So.
I think analytics are important. I just, I guess me, I am someone who is a fan of the fundamental eye test by actually seeing what they do rather than just looking at data. But at the end of the day, like you've mentioned, everything's shifting towards it now. Good teams are using it. It's working for good teams, so it matters about using it correctly, and even though, like I just mentioned, I'm a bit of a fan of still, looking at them actually play rather than watching data or looking at numbers and determining, okay, this player is going to be good for this spot because this data thing right here suggested that. I'd rather see them actually do it rather than, just relying on that. But at the same time, analytics are important. I'm not going to sit here and act like they're not. So, you have a bit of it's a tough conversation. There, like you said, there's a war on analytics. So, there's that whole, one side it's, analytics are super important. The other side it's, stop using it, or, all this stuff. There's a lot that people are going to say about analytics, but, maybe I'm a little more old schooler, I guess, because I'd rather them actually just show what they can do rather than what certain data will suggest. Because even if that data, obviously you have to do something for that data to be there, but at the same time, you know, you can't. You're relying on data, I guess, out of potential rather than what's always going to happen. I mean, like, what's a good example here? Like when Jake Bauers hit third the other day, Aaron Boone's explanation was that Brian Bayo struggles against lefties, or lefties have a X OPS against him and stuff. Jake Bauers struck out 20 times in the last 40 at bats. At that point, I don't care what the OPS is against for lefties with Brian Bayo. I care about the fact that the guy can't hit anything right now. So maybe that's me. Some other guys might view it differently, but
I'm not gonna lie. I would still I think that Brian Bale being bad against lefties, these are the guys you have to trust, right? Like these are the players you unfortunately have to place your trust in. Like who else is hitting? Like the Yankees like this, or Aaron Boone likes to go righty, lefty, righty for that 1, 2, and 3. Or no, he likes to go righty, righty, or he likes to have Judge with a lefty behind him. Who else can be the lefty behind him?
And that's fair. It's not,
because
at the end of the day we don't have
no alternative. It's Jake Bauers or nothing.
Like I said, all I was focused on, and maybe I'm right to be thinking about it that way, or wrong. If you agree, we agree to disagree on here. But all I thought about at that time was, I don't care about that. Jake Bauers is 3 for his last 40 something with 20 strikeouts. I don't think he should be hitting third because of that. But at the end of the day, I'm not a manager. I don't have this data in front of me, so I can't sit here and make those decisions. I can only comment on them, but that's where I'm at. You know what I mean? And sure enough, I'm not gonna act like I'm a genius, but the decision to do that obviously did not work. So take what you want with that information, but that's just maybe I have a different stance on it than you do, but
yeah. My overall thing is just that, like, look, if the industry, like, data doesn't tell, like, I want to dispel this narrative that analytics tell you to do anything. Analytics do not tell anybody to do anything. Analytics are just information. Like, if I look at someone's Fangraphs page, it doesn't tell me anything. It just displays recorded events of what occurred, right? And different stats measure different aspects of what occurred. It is your job to then take that information, find data trends. This is, it's literally just you're just translating stats into,
you're following trends at that point.
I mean, if you're taking a stats class, you're using these same principles of correlation, trends, percentiles, standard deviation, all that shit. And you're using everything you know about how data works and the strength and all that stuff of that information and the value it has and how important it is, and using it to make decisions. People always say, like, analytics say strikeouts are good. No, it's that analytics have found that people undervalued hitters whose flaw was striking out a lot. Therefore, the market reaction for teams that were extremely data-driven were that they were able to find guys who their flaw was striking out, but they were actually really good hitters, and they were getting them for less in the market than they should have. And that's a really good strategy. That was a good strategy back when the market was as skewed against strikeout hitters as it was 15 years ago, hell, even 10 years ago. Now here's the thing. And people think it's like this, like, look, might as well let AI take over the game soon. You're not like, people still make the decisions. I like this idea that like in Cal Bodie, he worked with the Reds as the pitching coordinator, and he did an excellent job there when he was there briefly. And he talked about not every organization is as data-driven as you think. In fact, most of them are less data-driven than you think. A lot of teams make gut calls, react to media pressure, try to appease fans. There are politics involved in what goes on with decision-making. The idea of analytics is just, hey, here's information that can measure the things we've been talking about for years. Hitting the ball hard. Now we have hard hit rate. Okay, well, what's the hardest you can hit the ball? Well, what's the different percentiles of when you hit the ball? Like, what's the velocity then, right? How often are you barreling it? How often are you getting line drives? How often are you getting launch angles that result in hits, right? How often are you swinging and missing? How high is your OBP? Like, these type of things, these are all so important, and certain things translate well. And the things that translate well happen to be hitting the ball hard, making consistent quality of contact, and not making bad swing decisions. So making good ones, swinging at strikes and not swinging at balls. You get those things down pat, you're going to hit really well. Unfortunately, part of that isn't exactly having to make contact number one, and you also don't need to have a guy in there specifically to make contact. And the Yankees thought they did. They thought they needed to have IKF in there because he makes contact. That was their thinking in 2022. I think that's silly. You just trot out 9 really good hitters. That doesn't also mean strike out a lot. And I understand, yes, bad teams strike out more, and that's because bad teams get outs more, right? You think of how do I put this? Aaron Judge sacrifices ground outs for home runs, and that results in more strikeouts because instead of grounding out, he's striking out. Bad teams are sacrificing hits for outs because they're not good. So that means that they're striking out a lot because they're just recording outs. So yes, strikeouts are bad because they're outs. But there are players who can be good hitters with striking out a lot. And if you want to see the perfect teams to copy the Braves, look who's first in exit velocity. Look who's first in barrel rate. Look who isn't top 5. And if I look at their strikeout rate, let me see. 21.3%. That's outside of the top 5. They hit the ball. They just fucking destroy the baseball. In fact, the 2 teams with the lowest strikeout rate this year are the Washington Nationals and the Cleveland Guardians. And the Arizona Diamondbacks are 3rd lowest. And they all have WRC pluses below 100. Whereas the 2 highest strikeout teams are the Mariners, the Rays, and they're both above average offensive. The Rockies are 3rd and they suck. So there's that. But end of the day, like, dude, I look at what works and it's hitting the shit out of the ball. And the team doesn't do that. So I don't know.
Just swing the bat, man. Swing the lumber.
Dude, this team is just do something. This team's just lifeless right now. But I don't know if there's much else to talk about. Trying to see, fire Cashman. Yeah, it's just stay in contract. I don't know. I think Cashman being fired, that's something that's going to be a conversation. I don't know.
I don't know, man. The Cashman stuff, I think something needs to change up there, but at the end of the day, I don't know if something will. I feel like the only change that might happen is Boone getting canned, and whether that's the right decision or not is, to be seen. Obviously, the decision hasn't happened yet, so I know I'm speaking as if it is, but, at this point, I see that happening. So whether that's the right decision or not, that's up for everyone to decide, but I personally think that's a scapegoat decision, but I have a different stance than some people, but
I think we'll have to just wait and see in that regard. I think who gets fired is still very much up in the air and depends on how bad things get. If things get worse,
and how much the rest of the season plays out, really. At this point, the Yankees aren't playing for a playoff spot; they're playing for people's job security in the management and the front office at this point. So.
Yeah, so I think one thing that's important for us to note, the Yankees, as we can get rid of Cashman and we can talk, that's a fair conversation. But the prospects that are supposed to help save us are all Cashman guys. So regardless of whether he gets fired or not, he's going to be directly responsible for how good this team is already. He could get fired right now. The 2024, 2025, and 2026 Yankees all depend on what Brian Cashman does here on forward. Or not here on forward, what Brian Cashman has done with the farm. That's really it.
It's a fair point.
For this next core. I'm not saying that firing someone doesn't help if you get a guy who's better than Cashman. But what I am saying is that a lot of the heavy liftings have to be done by the farm, and those are all Cashman guys. A lot of the heavy lifting is going to have to be done by a minor league development team that has done a great job thus far with getting these guys to the major league level and the upper levels of the minors, and now have to get them to that final cross line, which is becoming quality major leaguers. But that's really all I can add to that. I don't know if you want anything you want to say before. It's we're it's almost 12 o'clock.
Yeah, we've been on this.
Wheels are
street
falling
for
off
a while.
the
We're
car.
almost up to 2 hours, and we've had a pretty good turnout.
Yeah, we've been blessed with you guys showing up and showing out.
Had 70 at one point. Yeah, the support's been insane. We just started doing these streams again after not doing it for an entire month, and you guys showed out. So these are some of the best viewing numbers we've ever had, actually. So really appreciate that. But outside of that, the only thing I got to say is end the losing streak tomorrow, please. That's it. That's it. End the losing streak. I miss winning. I hate losing. So end the losing streak tomorrow, please. That they have Sevy on the hill. So I don't know how likely that'll be, but if Sevy can just decide, oh, I want to pitch like an ace today, that would be nice. So if they can just win tomorrow night, please, for my sanity. I don't know how I'd feel if they lose 10 in a row. I've already never seen 8 in a row and then 9 in a row. 10 in a row would just be some like wow. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much all I gotta say. Just end the losing streak tomorrow. We all know this season is lost at this point. So we're just here to watch, the young kids play, see what we get out of Pereira, see what we get out of Peraza, hopefully soon Austin Wells as well, and see, what Judge does with the toe, all that stuff, because we know a playoff push is very, very unlikely. So it's unfortunate that this is a lost season, but we're still going to keep doing these streams. When do you think we'll be on the next one, Ryan? When do you think we'll do the next stream?
I don't work tomorrow. I think tomorrow might be the day.
All right, yeah. Then
I've got to make sure I don't have work.
If we do a stream tomorrow, it cannot run as late though.
Yeah. All right.
Thursday, I gotta go to campus for school. So.
Alrighty then. So,
but regardless of that, we'll figure that out as the time goes on. We'll figure it out. Hopefully they give us a win. Hopefully they give us a win.
Yeah, hopefully I'm something
because I like talking about wins. I like talking about wins, not losses.
Yeah, no. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We apologize that the Yankees are so bad, but we can't really do anything about that. Well, we can. I don't know. We can't. No, we cannot do anything about that. What am I talking about? But hope you guys have a great night. I hope you guys are able
Miami
to.
Game early. It's my fault.
This is the point where at this point, anything hopefully works. But again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We appreciate you guys following us. Make sure you guys check out our Twitters. They're above our heads. You guys can check out our Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and of course this YouTube page where we have all of our podcasts. Tune in tomorrow. We're gonna have a bunch of videos on the channel and all that stuff. Gonna go live. There's gonna be plenty of content as there usually is. We're trying to get 7,000 subscribers. So if you guys could help us, we're like right there. I think we're 25 away. I think. So if you're not subscribed, there's 62 of you in here. Could you guys subscribe? That'd be great. You guys might be able to get us to that threshold now. But again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We appreciate you guys so much. Have a great rest of your night. Try to enjoy the night. And let's try to get back at it tomorrow. Peace out, everybody. Good night.